you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
You know, I'm trying to figure out why I'm oddly calm today. I am oddly calm as the Knicks get ready after what seems like 3 months to get back on the court here, and yet I don't have any nerves popping through my body, J-Rod, which is interesting because even
very interesting,
right? It's not arrogance; it's supreme confidence. Like the Knicks are ready. The Knicks are absolutely ready. I know that you guys are ready. Let's get into it. Today's show, of course, brought to you by Sullivan Papane. Find Sullivan online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Remember the name Sullivan Papane, and by Premio Sausage, the way sausage should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. Thank God the wait is over. You know, the bottom line is this. Knicks have to win this series. The Knicks are going to win this series, but the Knicks have to win this series. And I don't think, and maybe this should kind of raise the antennas a bit, I don't think that I'm alone in being very calm and very confident. Not cocky, not arrogant. This isn't the 98 Yankees or, you know, the Niners with Walsh or the Cowboys with Aikman and that dynasty or Steph and the Warriors or MJ with the Bulls. This is the Knicks, who have not won a championship since 1973. And as I analyze this, and we're going to obviously get into it, from every conceivable angle, whether it's a health perspective, whether it's a matchup perspective, whether it's a gut perspective, whatever it analytically, I just feel really good about the Knicks moving on to the finals, Jay. I feel really good about what's coming our way, man.
I mean, you got no reason not to. Obviously, anything can happen, but just based on how the Eastern Conference playoffs have shaped up thus far, with the Knicks having a relatively, I don't want to say easy, but they've kind of, you know, ever since that game 3 kind of coasted to the point they've had right now. Meanwhile, the Cavs and the Pistons have kind of been battling through a gauntlet. You know, I think that gives you reason to believe that potentially the Knicks are that team who's going to sail through the Eastern Conference and make it to the finals. I don't think that's an unfair position.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, tonight's huge. I mean, you got to win tonight. If the Knicks win tonight, I think it's a wrap pretty early. If they were to lose tonight, I think it really changes the complexion of the series. Not that I wouldn't think that the Knicks would still win, but the time is now. Like, this is one thing that you guys got to understand. And I think that some of you do, but I don't know that enough of you do. This is not, you know, a 2 or 3 year window here where, you know, you're going to roll out the same exact group of Knicks and be in this position again. Like, it doesn't happen with the frequency that we would like, where everything's lined up. Again, health, rest, matchup, energy, the way they look, it's got to be now. And I don't know, maybe that's leading to the confidence here, but you know, it's funny. I was thinking about this earlier, although you would think that would actually lead to the pressure. Like when you're sitting here saying, you know, this very well would be if the Knicks were to play poorly here and lose. And I think all those changes that we talked about are still very much up on the board. You know, whether it's fair or unfair, I just don't think that you run it back. I don't. And I'm not even going to get into that now because I do think the Knicks will win, but that is the pressure point here. I was thinking about this with the 90s Knicks, which at this point is a million years ago. And I never really felt this way. Maybe because the world was different and like the micro dissection of the Knicks and the Pacers and the Knicks and the Bulls, of course, and a little bit after that, the Knicks and the Heat. Like, I'm sure that there was an element of finality to it, like as you got deeper into Patrick's career, but it wasn't assessed. Like we didn't assess things back then the way we do now. And I'm trying to remember, like listening to the Fan and listening to Mike and Chris. I'm not saying they never did it, but it does not stand out to me that one of the main takeaways from them was that, like, if that group, whatever year it was, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, really up to 99. 99 was where you kind of knew it was the end for Patrick. He was banged up, didn't play much at all. And that was at that point now Sprewell and Houston's team, as we know. But I don't know, like, I never looked at it that way. Like, when I would go into a big series back then, I'd say, all right, How the hell are we going to stop Jordan? All right. How are we going to neutralize Reggie? All right. Is there going to be enough offense to match the defense, which you knew would be there nightly, in addition to the great coaching with the great, incomparable Pat Riley? I'm trying to remember, and it just doesn't really strike me as the same type of scoreboard. Now, listen, I don't think it's just specific to the Knicks. I think it's really specific to the way we dissect stuff now. I think this applied to the Mets. Like, I don't know. Again, and of course the Mets won it in 86, but after that, and even leading up to 86, when there's no wild cards and they couldn't beat the Cardinals, whatever. But I don't remember like watching the Mets or even having discussions with my dad or my buddies who were Met fans. Like, hey, if this group doesn't win it now, you're gonna have to really change everything. It was just very different. And to be honest with you, I think it was a lot more enjoyable back then, because what we have to do now, J-Rod, and it's a tricky dance, is we've got to. Well, I don't know if let me take that. I don't know that we have to. We elect to. We choose to basically have two balls in the air simultaneously juggling two very different concepts. One is, all right, what's going to happen in the upcoming series, whatever it might be. And then secondarily, but it's always kind of woven in almost as a primary subset to the first topic. Well, if they don't win based on the finances, based on the draft picks, based on these other teams and whatever league or division or conference you're talking about, there's just a lot more at play. And I think a lot of times, I think it's probably either, I don't know, immature, like unfair or premature. But I do think applied to this Knick group and applied to the circumstances of the Eastern Conference, where these players are in their prime, they have to win this series. And they must get to the beyond the Eastern Conference Finals, and they must get to the NBA Finals, because if they don't, and I know Brunson will be here no matter what, but think about some of the stories and like the narratives, right? Like when Patrick was there, we didn't talk about legacy. Again, that goes back. I'm contrasting eras here, because I do find it really interesting. I never once thought about Patrick's legacy if he doesn't win. The same thing with some of these quarterbacks then when they win the first one, now they've got to win two to jump up another imaginary tier. And if you get three, now you're an all-timer, and the GOAT and the Bradys and the Montanas. It's a deeper dive. And a lot of times I think it's a waste of energy. I don't feel that that's the case here. Everything, home court, health, rest, talent, depth, matchup advantage, everything right now before game one favors the New York Knicks. Everything.
Big time. And I like that point actually a lot, like, because I think it bleeds into fandom as well, where I think you kind of have a hesitancy to almost get up and root for your team as hard as you once did, because you know that if you lose, you're kind of eating crow, like you're feeling bad for your team because you had the high expectations, and you now know that your roster could easily just be completely busted in the offseason, where presumably, based on how you describe it, there were less of those back in the day. Let's package Starks and Patrick Ewing for a superstar type deal. It was more, let's ride with the guys that we got. And, here are the dudes I'm a fan of. They'll be loyal to the franchise as long as they kind of, until they age out sort of their superstardom kind of prime. And then they'll, go on to the Toronto Raptors or something like that.
Like Charles Oakley did, or
Charles Oakley,
that Hakeem Sonics uniform. Hakeem. Yeah, you're right.
Did Pat also do the Cavaliers? I think he played a season on the Cavs, maybe.
Who?
No, Patrick Ewing.
No, Patrick did. Pat was with the Magic. We went from the Knicks to Seattle to Orlando.
Never Cleveland. Okay.
No.
But yeah, no, I mean, you're right in that sense, in which the stakes now, from a front office perspective and from a media perspective, are very much heightened, and I think it brings pressure on the players. I think it brings pressure on the front office, and I think it brings pressure on the fans.
I think you laid out well. I mean, it's really become a totally different process here. Think about this kind of analysis, like down the road. Here we are, because I think it's fair, and only because I truly do believe this is the last shot for this group. And I'm going to get into some of the finances and other reasons why. But like, it's one thing to juggle that now, which has become very common. But think about how it has seeped, like that mindset has seeped into people's fandom before seasons even start.
Yeah.
Whether it's tanking for the first overall pick in the NBA or stripping things down in the NFL to have a chance at one of these quarterbacks, or again, the micro, almost unfair to an extent, analysis of some of these coaches who go to bad teams, really in the NFL more than the other sports, where again, and Aaron Glenn has yet to prove anything, but I think he's a decent example. Like, the Jets roster was so bad last year. They won 3 games and they were overwhelmed. And here we are. It's like, okay, if the Jets start out 0-4, we're already greasing the skids for him to get whacked. Like, it's just a different, I'm personally able to compartmentalize multiple things. Like, I can do that, but I do think I think it takes away some of the enjoyment. And, I think you've got to be aware of it and almost push that other stuff to the side. But I'm telling you guys, like there is no middle of the road here. They must win the series. Now, the good news is I think that they're going to win, right? I absolutely think the Knicks will win. I feel really good about this. And the problem, too, and I want to just pop something up, right? So when you look at the future of the Knicks, right, and where they are from a salary cap point of view, like right now, the Knicks have the second highest payroll in the NBA. Ironically, number 1 is the Cavaliers, right? And then even next year, the Knicks already have the second most money on the books, right behind the Cavaliers. Knicks are already next year at $202 million. And then if you even put, which is fine because the cap will go up and they've got a lot of good players. I'm not saying it's untenable, but it's got to be part of the process as you factor in, like, just how many years does this group get together? You even go ahead to 2028, and the Knicks at that point are number 1 already. And that does not calculate Jalen Brunson's new contract. So, whoa, okay, say at the Knicks, whether it's, a premature ouster, which is not going to happen, or like a death fight and a very late, stunning loss where the Cavaliers were to advance. I mean, you look ahead to next season, and all right, I don't know if Mitch Robinson is going to be back. Now, I'd like to see him back, but, we wanted to see Hartenstein back a couple of years ago, but obviously the Knicks were limited what they could offer him. And OKC swooped in. The Knicks could only offer him $16 or $17 million based on, some of the CBA stuff, whatever, which is kind of confusing. But it's not that the Knicks wanted him, but there are just certain things that prevent you from running out the same group year after year after year. Some are financially driven, and some are just based on the logistics and the, like where some of these players are in their prime. And I know, and I'm cautioning you, Knicks fans. I know that many of you know this, but Knicks are they're off the tarmac. This is not like the early stages of their ascent here. They're off the tarmac. Now, they haven't hit their highest altitude yet, but they're in the sky. Like, we're looking down, we're seeing trees and little rivers and little homes that look like little Monopoly pieces, because the Knicks are a lot closer with this group to the end of whatever run they're going to have than they are when you first take off and, you're basically still on concrete and you're making your way in the air. Karl Anthony Towns, who's been very, very good, obviously, although, there was some slight regression with the fouls last series. And I know that he's bigger and stronger and more physically, just resolute than the bigs that the Cavaliers have thrown out there. But, Mobley can shoot it. So you're going to have Towns and you're going to have Mitch and some of these other, OGs, obviously very versatile, who he can defend, etc. But, if Towns has another series where I'm not bagging on Towns, I'm not reaching for that card. I've already said what I've said about Towns, and he's basically shoved it down my throat in a good way, because the Knicks have modified how they play. He's up to the challenge. It's opened up an entire new basketball life for this team. That's why I feel really good. But you've got to at least on some level weigh the potential, the possibilities of, like, well, what if they don't win? And if they don't win, suddenly that player option a couple of years down the road for Karl Anthony Towns, who knows? That's in 27, 28. So next year would basically be an expiring contract after next year. And that's appealing. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Giannis. I don't know if the Magic or the Pistons or some of these younger teams, what they're going to do in terms of retooling in the offseason. I don't know what the Boston Celtics are going to look like. I don't know. And neither do you. So what we do know is the Knicks are really, really good, okay? And they are trying to be great. They're trying to carve out a piece, and it's been so elusive. It's crazy, guys. A piece of New York sporting lore that just goes on forever in perpetuity. I mean, it gets exhausting. It really does, especially for me. And I don't reference them too much in terms of like chapter and verse, but as a point of reference, like it'd be nice, all due respect to the great Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed, rest in peace, the Busher, rest in peace, Bill Bradley, Red Holtzman, Phil Jackson. Like it would be nice to kind of stick something in between 1973 and now. And, the 90s Knicks are something that if you were, around when they were playing, like, God, that might be, and really outside of the 96 Yankees, that's got to be my favorite team of all time that I've ever watched. A few others are close, 98 Jets, Parcells, whatever. But that team, year after year, gave you a shot. They gave you hope, and they really gave you belief that they would win. But they didn't. So think about all those years, Knicks were winning 57, 58, 60 games a couple times. Patrick Ewing in the middle of his prime. Pat Riley, obviously one of the three greatest coaches of all time. I mean, you're talking about Popovich, talking about Phil Jackson, Red Holtzman's there. Maybe if you believe in Casey Jones with the Celtics, I mean, Pat Riley's right there. And a few others. I wouldn't put Kerr there. Some might, but I wouldn't do that because of I think it was more, personnel driven, whatever. Point is, things change fast, and the gaps, and it's crazy, like the gaps in the New York sporting championship landscape. I mean, here we are. We just wrapped up the 30th iteration of the Subway Series. Mets take two. And by the way, how crazy was that Mets game last night? And Bednar, I mean, this guy, he is on my absolute last nerve. But I do have some baseball stuff for you later. But every point of reference, think about this. Because we fancy ourselves, and we are gritty, and we are awesome, and we do show up, and we do spend our money, and we are emotionally and financially invested in all of these teams, even as shitty as the Jets have been. Jet fans are great. Giants have been in a coma basically for 15 years. Giant fans are awesome. Mets haven't won since 86. And Met fans are amazing. Yankees haven't won since 2009. Yankees show up 40,000 deep every single night in the Bronx, even on a Tuesday in September when the kids are back in school. Like, we do our job. It is time for somebody to deliver a championship, and it's time for somebody to do their job for us. Like, they just keep taking from us. They take our money. They take our time. Sometimes they take our soul. And I'm fed up with it. It's exhausting. It's tricky. It's tough. It is old. It's really boring. Just always Clyde Frazier, Derek Jeter, Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden. I mean, Patrick Ewing, even though Pat didn't win. Mark Messier, the great Mess from 94, one of the best captains in any sport of all time. Can we put something new on the map here in terms of a New York championship? Can we put some, instead of like the champagne that is flat and warm, how about some freezing bubbly where we're all partying? It's time to pop some champagne again. And it starts tonight because the Knicks are better to me. They are better in almost every facet of basketball than the Cavaliers. The one thing, now this is interesting. The one thing that I don't know, even though he's been very good the last couple of months with the modifications and the tweaks, the one thing that does worry me in this series is that Kenny Atkinson is a phenomenal head coach. Kenny Atkinson's a Long Island guy who is not good, who is great at his job. I think he is brilliant. I think he's the perfect combination of analytics and old school toughness and expectation, but also understanding the modern. He played in college, if you don't know, Virginia, really tough, scrappy point guard. Like, that guy is really, really good. And, as much as we sit here, and I believe it, Knicks are 7.5-point favorites tonight. They're minus 300 for the series. Like, everybody in Vegas and everybody in the betting community is telling you, not only should the Knicks win, not only should they win, but they should win fast and they should win easily. And, like that is a pressure that I don't think that Josh Hart feels that, or Brunson. They don't give a rat's ass about the betting odds. But if they were to drop an early game, like they did against the Hawks, let alone two in a row, no disrespect to the Hawks, but they can't shine the Cavaliers' shoes. Like, if you mess around and you're a little rusty or a little inefficient early, this series, if the Knicks fall behind a game or so, is going to have a totally different complexion than the Hawks series. Like, they're not going to come out and win by 51 or win on the road by 20-something points with frequency like the Knicks have seemingly done for the last 3 weeks here. So don't mess around. Handle business. Punch him in the face early. Let him know you mean business. Bag the first win, and let's play downhill. Let's go. All right, J-Rod, let's get the calls going. Let's get the chat going. Big Knicks Day. Get some baseball stuff after as well. Who is first up on the show, J-Rod?
Got our friend Dan from Port Jefferson.
What's up, Danny? How you doing today, kid? Welcome back. What's new?
What's up, BT? How's it going?
I'm good, but my beard's a little – I got to shave tonight. My beard's getting a little itchy today. A little itchy today. I don't know if it's a nervous tick or it's just actually itchy, but I'm good, Danny. What's going on?
Yeah, I know that feeling. I just shaved yesterday, and it was a scruffy beard. But
by the way, I hate you. I shave my head like I'm a fanatic. I'm maniacal. I'm just neurotic with that. Like when I can't have the George Jefferson look. It's a hideous look. So I shave the dome. If it's 2 days, that's a lot. It's usually every day. The face, I could go 10, 11, 12 days without shaving. I can't stand shaving my face. Can't stand it, Danny.
I know. Yeah, usually sometimes it depends on like. So I not to go off topic, but it depends on how often I have to go to my office. Sometimes I'm home today. I'm working.
Good.
Home today. But when I go to the office, I try to be somewhat presentable.
Yeah. But listen, the styles are different. People wearing sneakers to weddings.
It's
the business sneakers. Yeah, people don't wear ties the way they wear it however you want, dude. Yeah. All right, Knicks, what's going on, man? Let's talk.
All right, so yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned like when you first started the show how like you're calm. I'm kind of feeling the same way. It's like I honestly I didn't know how to feel because it's like I was 12 years old when the last time they were in the finals in '99. It's a long time, and it's like and in between that time, it's like I haven't had this kind of feeling where we have like a legit like good team and a chance to actually win a championship. So it's like I'm trying not to be like, ooh, yeah, but I'm trying to be, calm as much as I can. I'm pumped for the game, obviously.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm so pumped. Can't wait for that game one to start. But I want to mention like they haven't played a game in like how long has it been? Like 10 days?
I think 10 or 11, whatever it is. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been over a week and a half. Sure. Yeah,
I know. Like I don't know what to expect. Are they going to be rusty like in the beginning, or should we be concerned about that? Is that like a big?
Yeah, listen, I can make an answer up. Honestly, Dan, as much as I've done this and as many of these conversations as I've had over my career, I don't know. And anybody who says that they do doesn't really know. They're just making stuff up. I could give you theories, but like there's no way to really know, what wins out and why it wins out. The old rest versus rust theory. Listen, if you give me the option of being potentially a little rusty, but having fresh wheels, and feeling pretty spry and being able to physically regenerate, well, I think residually, even if it's not in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, I think over the course of a long-ish, potentially longish series, I think it's a massive advantage for the Knicks. So I wouldn't want it the other way. Like I would want to be the Knicks in this situation rather than the Cavs, who are coming off a cage match for 7 games. But you don't know. Listen, could the Knicks come out and be a little disconnected and a little disjointed and, miss their first 7 of 8 shots and, Cat get 1 or 2 fouls quick and, Brunson miss? Yeah, sure. Of course he could. Of course they could.
Yeah. I know. It's like, it's they needed the rest too, because obviously OG and his injury, which we don't even know. Like
he's fine.
I know. I'm hoping he's fine. Like it's like they didn't give like a real, diagnosis of what it is. They said it's a mild strain. They didn't say what grade it was.
It was grade 1. No, it was.
Oh, they did say? Okay.
Yeah, because
I just kept hearing mild. I didn't hear.
Well, Dan, think about this. If it was anything other than if it was a grade 2, and obviously get grade 3 basically is like a full. Yeah, no, I didn't even know if they used the terminology grade 1, but they didn't have to, because when you see somebody practicing full participant in practice, I know he's listed as probable for tonight. It was a grade 1, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, they got to win game 1. I guess set the tone right away.
Yeah. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
It really would be.
It's just like, all right, then we can get this going. Honestly, like the advantages the Knicks have, I feel like they didn't really struggle against the Cavs too much. They had that one. The one they played in Cleveland, which wasn't really that great.
Yeah, but Dan, hold on. Let me stop you for a sec. True, the Knicks looked pretty good against the Cavs, but the one game where they didn't look good, that was the one game that James Harden played for the Cavs. Point of reference.
Okay. I wasn't sure how many times
Remember?
they did play. Yes. Yeah. And they got. I feel like that game was not competitive at all.
No, they didn't play well. They was not.
Yeah,
They did not have a good
play well
game.
at all, but like that,
Nope.
I kept rewatching the Christmas Day highlights. That game was just awesome.
The Tyler Kolek game, huh?
Holy man, yeah, I know Tyler Kolek. He's making all those gestures when he's hitting those threes. I'm like, oh man, I love Kolek. I just don't know if he's gonna really get any burn in the series, but I just love his energy.
Me too.
You know, also like when you look at the Cavs, I'm wondering like who's gonna like the way the first two series, obviously they put like bigger guards on Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
I don't think the Cavs really have anyone. I mean, what, Max Strus? I mean, like, I don't know any big defensive
Oh, I
players.
mean, if they throw Max Strus, yeah, I mean, he's going to go right by Max Strus. I mean,
right. I'm saying they don't have
by
anyone
him.
that's big and long that can guard him. You know, like Asar
Yeah.
Thompson on the Pistons. Not that they played them, but
Yeah,
they put longer defenders on. That's usually how you contain Brunson and like
Mhm.
keep him in check. But I mean, obviously, he's been going off this week.
Well, but here's the thing, Dan, and thank you for the call and enjoy the first game tonight. Awesome getting the calls going. We'll get a bunch more here on Unleashed, obviously. Enjoy the game tonight, Dan. Let's go Knicks. I think that, you know, while they don't really have maybe the conventional longish, explosive defenders that you can, in terms of having multiple guys, I don't mean bigs, but the like ones and twos that you can run at Jalen Brunson. They did do that to Cade Cunningham, and Cade had a couple of games where, you know, he was sloppy with the ball and highly inefficient in terms of making shots. So, you know, if the timing is right, James Harden is 6'5.5", so he's of the bigger build, but he's not very quick at this point. So as long as Jalen's reading this, they should be fine. And listen, I want to go back to something I said about like the circumstances, right? I was just jotting some things down, and some of these are basic things, right? But all right, Knicks have home court. That's obvious. Knicks are rested. We know that. Knicks are healthy. We know that. The other two things why it is an absolute must-win series, period, all right, is because the core is still in their prime, but not early enough in their prime where it's this long window, as I touched on before, but also like the salary cap, something I kind of touched a little bit before, is lined up, you know, for now. I mean, those things, you know, if I'm really thinking about it, like, all right, do you have the talent? I mean, without talent in the NBA, you don't win. So do they have the talent? They got the talent. Are you healthy? They're healthy. Are you rested? Yeah. Do you have home court? Sure. Do you have experience as a group? Yeah. I mean, they've been through the rigors, you know, some heartbreaking losses going back to OG's hamstring with the Pacers, or, you know, the Heat series, obviously, when Jalen Brunson and, you know, Quickly and those guys were still here. Like they've been playing ball together. Now, obviously, Cat's a little bit more new, and same with Bridges to an extent, but you know, beat the Celtics last year multiple times, down by 20, coming back and having these historic comebacks, and what they've done this year, just destroying the opposition at, again, an historic rate, provable by numbers. Like it's now. There's nothing else to. It's absolutely got to be now. It's got to be. And I feel like it's going to be. I'm not even going to waste my time like, oh, the Spurs game was wild last night. What a job. Wow, double overtime. My God. Hopefully that one goes deep, and that one's going to go deep. And that might be another, I would think that might be another set of favorable circumstances that come the Knicks' way if they can handle business quick here. You know, I'm trying to straddle that line of just telling you what I think and what I see and what I feel, and not being cocky and arrogant. Like I'm just, oh yeah, Knicks are going to win. And Knicks are going to why? Because of the Knicks. I mean, no, that's not where I'm at. But the Knicks will win because the Knicks are better. And, you know, it's not like the Knicks are minus 124 to win the series. When you are a minus 300 to win the series and almost 8-point favorites in game one, let's not mince words. Anything other than advancing is a colossal failure. That makes this Knicks season a colossal failure. Because let's call it for what it is here, man. Like if they were to lose this series, does anybody want to waste time in 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years talking about how the Knicks won a playoff game by 51 points and they had an average margin of victory for a 6 or a 7 game stretch where they 7 games where they won by the end 22.5 points? Nobody cares. Like those details are going to be forgotten. Now, yeah, I mean, I will remember the numbers, provided it's not 30 years from now. And God forbid I don't have dementia. But I'm not going to spit them out with any pride. Like, it's got to equate to something, and I believe that it will. So I'm feeling really good. I am feeling really good today. New York NY Locker Room Media asked BT, all right, BT, this team feels like the 94 Yankees. Once they got Soto and the path to the series was optimal, they had to get to the World Series. Do you agree? Well, I understand. You can keep that up there, Jay. I understand comparing the two. I think I think you will admit this one part. The circumstances were also very favorable for the Yankees playing weaker competition in the American League. Now, to me, when you talk about like pressure and like the Yankees had to get to the World Series, like to me, and I've talked about this, and I do think it applies to these Knicks, not as much to the 24 Yankees. Like if the Yankees did not get to the World Series, like if Soto doesn't have the big home run in Cleveland, Judge doesn't do what he does, and the Yankees don't get to the World, forget about what happened when they actually got to the World Series, which was a disaster. But if they didn't get there, like what would have been the recourse? Like if you want to talk about this imaginary pressure, or in your opinion, this real pressure, well, to me, pressure without penalty is not really pressure. It's not, oh, we got to win tonight. We were doing the Jets Collective show, and I know what he's saying. I'm not calling him out. I love him. I do a show with him. He's great. I love his passion. But Jake said, must win week 1 Jets. Well, what if they don't? Like, Glenn's not going to get fired. The season's not over, although, probably not going anywhere. But there's got to be an element of finality. When you talk about pressure, it's got to be tangible. It can't be abstract. So, if the Yankees would have lost to the Guardians, they still would have wanted Soto back. Now, that big home run, if he doesn't hit that, maybe the Mets come in at 650 rather than where the numbers got to. Maybe the Yankees do retain him. I don't know. Maybe the Mets don't go the extra mile, given his family, everything. I don't have that answer. But they would have absolutely still wanted Juan Soto back. If they would have lost that series, I don't think Aaron Boone would have been fired. I don't think that Brian Cashman would have lost his job. Judge wouldn't have gone anywhere. So even though Garrett Cole wound up getting hurt shortly thereafter, Garrett Cole wouldn't have been jettisoned. So to me, that is actually the only thing that's very similar is that the Yankees, even though it's much more recent than the Knicks, hadn't won in a while. So it's like, all right, and you are the Yankees and you're used to winning a whole lot more than the Knicks. But, who lost their job? Nobody did. And they got to the World Series and they played like shit and still nobody lost their jobs. You know what I mean? I'm not even saying that they should have, but nobody did. So I really think, and J-Rod, this is something I've talked a lot about, and you can back me up on this. There's two words that get my ire up a little bit, at least in terms of the content, sports radio, sports stuff debate. The misuse of the word great, I think it's become far too benign. Yep. Oh, this guy's great, that guy's great player. No, you're a good player. Let's differentiate between great and good, number one, and pressure. Because I just think it's applied or misused or stretched and manipulated too much where, pressure is this. Like, okay, if I'll give you real life pressure. Like if this YouTube thing does not work for me, well, I'm going to have real pressure paying bills. Like that's pressure, no joke. Like that is real life stuff that I am equipped to deal with because, I'm a fighter. All right. And I'm not afraid of that. But God forbid, if it doesn't work the way I know that it will, am I going to have to sell my home? There's like real consequences downstream. All right. If the Knicks lose tonight, you come back, you play game 2. If you lose game 2, you come back, you play game 3. Now, if you lose 4 before you win 4, that's where the pressure comes in. Because unlike the 24 Yankees, as per the chat, I do believe blow up would be strong. But there will be significant changes, and rightfully so, to this Knicks group, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I like the way you frame the pressure there because there's a big difference. Like the Thunder. All right, if the Thunder win the finals this year, they're not doing anything. They're not recalibrating. They're not blowing up the team. If the Spurs make the finals this year, which it looks like it could, did you watch that game at all?
Some of it. I was watching a lot of the baseball. I know. For some reason, I watched a lot of that. insanely crazy Mets with 10 or 12. I don't even know how many runs they scored, whatever it was. I know you were at the Yankee game, so of course I was watching Bednar, and I saw Jazz's home run hit the pole live. I saw Volpe do some good stuff. I mean, I'll get to the baseball later, but I watched some of the game, and I obviously followed all the highlights and caught up. But yeah, no, I watched some of it. Yeah, great game.
First point off that, just going back to yesterday's, man, after that game, I really feel strong about Shea maybe never winning an MVP and Wemby just taking all these to go for the time being. But neither here nor there. The Spurs are a team that doesn't have pressure to win the finals. If they lose the finals, it's a massive success.
Yes.
You know, they're in the position where if they made the finals, this is this guy's third season. You don't even have, you know, De'Aaron Fox is good, but you don't have a second star. You literally make the finals with one a galaxy superstar.
Yeah.
But you know, nothing would happen. Cavaliers, if they lose in this Eastern Conference Finals, all right, another kind of disappointing season. You know, it still doesn't really look like they're building towards anything. But Donovan Mitchell's still on the team. Jared Allen's still on the team. Evan Mobley's still presumably on the team, barring a Giannis trade. So
Atkinson's still the coach.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yep.
So it's like the Knicks are kind of the one team in this playoff still where everything is sort of riding on this conference finals, because if they lose, you know, depending on the way they could lose, Mike Brown could be out.
Yep.
I think Cat's staying, but Bridges is gone.
Somebody's gone.
Hart could be gone. You know, it could be a whole lot of shakeup.
Yep.
So yeah. I mean, the Knicks are feeling the pressure.
Well, and think about this too, like, you know, the usage of the word pressure. Like, there was a point where, you know, if Mendoza, and suddenly the Mets are playing, I know last night was a wacky game, but the Mets are playing a lot better. Got to give them credit, starting to win some games and starting to inch back into at least the somewhat, you know, on the lowest level relevant, you know, like, okay, like maybe the Mets can get something going here a little bit. You get Lindor back in about a month or so. I don't think that's going to happen, but by winning and flipping the script the way that they did when they did it, well, guess what? That pressure, which was real, tangible, palpable stuff for the manager, because the GM spoke twice on his, even though he said he's not going anywhere. I mean, when the general manager and the president of baseball operations multiple times before Memorial Day has to say that his manager's not going to get fired, well, you know, if things don't change, he's going to get fired. Like, that's real pressure right there. So I give you another example too. You think about, let me shut this off, my bad. You think about the like the quarterback comp, like the quarterback legacies, right? And the GOATs and all the, like the Bradys, the Montanas, the Mahomes and stuff like this. You hear about certain quarterbacks like, you know, well, I mean, listen, this quarterback's got to eventually win one, or, or what? We can take his money back? You can kick him out of the league, or what? You're not going to do anything about it. I'm not saying it's not an interesting conversation if it's layered properly. Like, I do believe, you know, the Peyton Brady stuff early was very interesting. And then once obviously Brady flew past the great Peyton Manning, just in terms of a winner, even though I think Peyton was a better quarterback, whatever, not to debate that now, but he flew by him in terms of just GOAT status. But as he was flying by him, then it really became about Joe Montana, who won 4 championships and never lost one, okay? Whereas Brady lost to the Giants, you know, so that was interesting. And then Mahomes, who ripped off a bunch early. Well, okay, we're beyond what I perceive to be an irresponsible conversation, at least on a cursory level, to say, all right, well, hey, listen, Mahomes is 25, or he's 26, or he's 27. He's got MVPs. He's got X amount of championships. It's not irresponsible to at least position it big picture down the road. Absolutely. What if he does X, Y, and Z in addition to what he's already done? Is there an avenue maybe for Patrick Mahomes to eventually surpass Tom Brady? Like, that's fine. I don't mean that. I'm not talking, but the word pressure, please. Mahomes could go, I know he's coming off the ACL, but Mahomes could go 5-12 this year. What pressure? What, are they going to cut him? They could trade him? Stop. That's not pressure. Is when there is something like that is going to absolutely change with a negative consequence if you don't do whatever it is we're talking about. So please, can we understand and differentiate between pressure and whatever is a loose or lazy interpretation, or just a flat out wrong interpretation of that word? It gets under my skin. Honestly, the great stuff and the pressure stuff are probably the two things that really it just works me up. Because I know people aren't that dumb. I know that they can process it. They just choose not to, because in a lot of ways, society, whilst I think society's become more intelligent with a lot of things, we've become dumber with a lot of things, and our ability to critically think has become much more shallow. Even the way we watch shows. Like, God forbid you wait a week to watch the next episode. It's like, nope, boom, next. Like, I got to see what happens. All right. And sometimes I enjoy doing that as well. But I don't know. I kind of like the old school method where, who's Tony whacking this week? Paulie Walnuts getting out of Johnny Sack. He's squeezing that territory. And then, I got to wait a week till next Sunday. Like, I kind of like that. I don't know. It's just like, it is a reflection of like the microwave analysis of so many things. So I say all that, and I know that there's a lot there, but it does apply to these Knicks, which is the ultimate point. Whether it's a cat, whether it's the coach, whether it's one of the wings, whatever it might be, something's changing if the Knicks don't win at least this series. So that's where I'm at, brother. You know what I mean?
Big time.
All right. Mitch _ I _ am. Thank you for that, Mitch. I appreciate it, buddy. BT, what matchups do you want to see for Harden and Mitchell to start? I'm hoping they go Bridges on Mitchell, Hart on Harden, and OG on Mobley to begin.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Let me go through that piece by piece. Let's hope we're passing the sugar. Little Steve Lavin reference right there.
Nah, dude, this is our boy Mitch.
I know. I know. But Steve Lavin would. I know Mitch is the best, but Steve would always say back in the day, we got to share the sugar. That's what he'd say. Hey, after every say, hey, boys, we share the sugar tonight. So that just triggered that. All right, matchup wise, Bridges on Mitchell. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with really Bridges on anybody. I'm just trying to think, do I prefer OG, and now we get to OG here. OG on Mobley, Hart on Harden. Yeah, I mean, because Hart is so is Bridges, but a very resourceful defender who I don't think will fall victim. I'm not saying Harden's not going to have some moments. He is. I mean, he's a very skilled scorer, manipulates, the flops and all the whistle, kicking his legs out when he's shooting. I would think that Harden's probably too well-versed in school to have that become a massive hindrance tonight. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. Now, who's Cat playing? What am I missing here, Jay? Who is Cat defending in that situation?
Jared Allen.
Oh, that's right, Jared Allen. What am I saying? My bad. Yep. Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty easy matchup just because, like, Jared Allen's not the greatest offensive player. I mean, Cat's certainly gotten better at defense, but it just matches up.
Yeah, and he's not going to step out evenly. As much. And Mobley's going to shoot.
And Mobley's going to shoot. Know. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's. I think that's well thought out. Good job on that, Mitch. That a boy. What is this here? A little Metsy love. What do we got? Why did I pop that up? There it is, bro. Told you the Mets going to win too. Oh, congrats, Mets. The Mets at 500. Yeah, we're the Mets here. Let me just check the standings here. Maybe I missed something. I know that this recent renaissance by the Metsies has everybody fired up. And by the way, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be fired up because at least you have
21 and 26.
No, I know. I just want to see the standings. I was saying that, facetiously there, Jay. I appreciate that, though.
Last.
Let's see here. Yep, still in last. Just double checking. Just confirming here. Still looking up at those Marlins with that massive payroll. I mean, the good news is if the Mets continue to beat the Nationals, they can leapfrog them and get to third place in the NL East here. I mean, come on. The Mets still have a -7 run differential. Tap the brakes. I know that they're playing much better, and I give them credit because if they didn't fix this thing and turn this thing around, manager fired, and listen, that's the easy thing with all due respect to somebody like Mendoza. I don't want to see people lose their jobs, but like that's the first thing you do, right? If they wouldn't have found a way to rip off some of these wins. But the next thing that would have happened, which I think would have resulted in probably 30,000 empty seats nightly and daily in Queens, is they would have started selling some of these pieces. They really would have. So whether it's Peralta, whether it's Bichette. And by the way, did you guys see what Bichette said yesterday about, just a quick aside on this, you see what Bichette said about the opt-outs and how he views it as a 3-year contract? My ass, dude. The only reason, and I like Bo Bichette, he's a gamer, man, and I did want him for the Yankees, right? But let me dive into this for a second. So he's got the 3 years. I think it's about where is it? Come on, pop up, whatever. 125, 126 mil. He's got the opt-outs. Now, yeah, player options for 27 and 28. So this is year one. After this year, he can obviously opt out. He gets a signing bonus. Oh, whatever. That's not too applicable here. Now, he's got a player option. All right. Why do you think he said what he said yesterday? He's got a player option for $42 million for both 27 and 28. And if he opts out, he gets a $5 million buyout. Now, why in the world would a guy who was in the middle of a horrendous start, why would he say anything other than what he said? Number one, I mean, it's the right thing to say because you're a Met. Maybe he likes being a Met. I don't know. But, I mean, he's hitting like ass. So when you're due that kind of money as he's due in 27 and 28, that's one thing. If you're putting up a season, he's sitting here and he's hitting 309 with a 927 OPS. He's got 11 jacks and, whatever he's doing. I mean, where's he going? I mean, if he ever opts out, who the hell is going to replicate that money? Nobody. So I didn't really take too much of that. But no, the Mets are playing much better baseball. Last night was really one of the wildest baseball games you could see. I mean, I was bouncing back and forth. Obviously, the Yankees, I was watching more of the Yankees, but that was crazy, man. I mean, again, was it 10 run? Well, how many did they score in the 12th? How many?
10.
It was 10, right?
10. It was 6 to, what was it? 6 to 2 at the beginning.
It was insane. And like the Mets really, if you think about, remember, they didn't play well against Colorado and Queens, and then they lost to the Nationals in Queens. And then it started really when they went out west, where, God, after that Nationals game where they lost 5-4, they were 10 and 21. All right, then they went out west. They beat the Angels twice. Could have swept them, lost in the 10th inning. Then they won. Remember, they got snowed out again. They won 2 out of 3 in Colorado. Didn't play great in Arizona, lost 2 out of 3 there. But then they come back. Like when they swept the Tigers, that's where I'm like, okay, there's enough stabilization here where I'm not saying that you take the Mets seriously. That's a little bit strong. But when they, coming off how they played against the Angels and the Rockies, and they were competitive in Arizona, when you sweep a team, even though the Tigers aren't very good, particularly without Skubal right now, 3 wins is 3 wins. And then the Yankees roll in and they win twice. And now they score 16 runs, granted, in a very unique, wacky way. But now you'd have to, and you got McLean going today or tonight. You'd have to think that, he's going to give him a really good chance to win minimally at least 2 out of 3, and then you just piece it together and you see where it goes, and I don't ultimately know where it's going to go. I don't think it will go to the playoffs, but we'll see. Daniel Timothy 804 or 1804. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. Love the show, BT. What do you think about Volpe's play? Yeah. If he keeps it up, I can see him hitting leadoff at second base. Need more right-handed sticks. Jazz at third. Now, keep that up. There's a few things there. First off, thank you for the kind words about the show. The Yankees are not going to move Volpe position-wise this year. That is something that they're going to do in the offseason if they ever elect to do it. All right. So, and he does look good. He didn't look good to start, but, he's finding his rhythm now. Good patience at the plate. He's hitting the ball the other way. You see when he gets on base, he's a threat. Beautiful slide into home last night. Beautiful. And it sounds weird. He's a good slider. Like how do we not have a stat? How do we not have an analytical stat on sliding? I mean, if you really think about it at this point, whether it's the swim move where you lift your hand in or just going at the precise angle of the base, and maybe we have a stat that is based on, some guys have X amount of dirt specks fly up in the air when they slide, and some guys have a lower dirt ratio when they slide. Like, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm actually kind of surprised that there's not a sliding stat, unless there is. I don't know, but that was one hell of a slide, just getting the end of home plate with his left hand. Beautiful. So more on this chat here. Volpe. I was going to get to this, but you actually lead me into it now. So Caballero has begun or resumed, really, baseball activities, which is a good thing. It looks like that 10-day IL stint, when that expires very soon, he's going to be ready to go, all right, which is a good thing. So There's a couple of things that they could do. Number one, Ryan McMahon is back to being Ryan McMahon. So Ryan McMahon's got to keep sitting. He stinks. We know that, all right? They had a little 2-week flicker. He's back to being himself. He's awful. I can't watch it. And he's not even the defender, and the numbers back this up. He's not even playing defense the way that he was last year when he first came, all right? Where he kind of looked like Greg Nettles, one of those, Mike Schmidt. Like, he doesn't look that way. Brooks Robinson doesn't look that way this year. The eye test says that defensively. He's made some bad throws across the diamond, outs above replacement, down, all that defensive stuff, trust me, down. And he's obviously just not a good hitter. All right, so McMahon, bench. Or trade him, whatever. Cabby comes back. There's a couple of things you can do. You're not putting Jazz at third. Jazz doesn't like playing third. And not that I really give a rat's ass what Jazz wants, but Jazz is starting to hit now. And I don't know if you want to mess with that mojo. The guy's got 3 different pairs of pants. He's using people's bats. Whatever it takes to get out of a slump. Back in the day, we would just call it a slump buster. But now you got to wear Giancarlo Stanton's pants, which are 9 sizes too big. If that's working out, keep doing it. All right. So he's not going to third base. I know that they're not going to have Volpe go to second base during the season, especially now that he's showing a penchant to hit a little bit. And his swing does look a little flatter, a little less arc. Still, I don't get into a deep dive on this, but still vulnerable on that slider on the outer part of home plate and the fastball upstairs. But at least his swing seems more in line with the kind of hitter he should be. More hard ground balls. If there's an opening, which we saw last night to the right side, boom, just hammer a 5-hopper. It doesn't have to be a line drive, 110 off the bat. Just hit it where they're not or hit it where there ain't, as you'd say, right? So he's doing that, and I'm really happy for him. And when he's hitting and on base, he's a game changer because he's got electricity, he's got juice. He's an athlete, man. And that's one of the reasons why he was a first-round pick. So, and I tweeted this last night. J-Rod, and I'll just pull it up. It's funny that you send this chat because I tweeted this thinking the same thing because I knew I was going to get into it today. Let's see here. All right. Tweets. I'm sure I kind of railroaded Bednar again last night. All right. Where's the tweet there? Okay. McMahon bench. Simple. Cabby at third, Volpe at short, start there. Yeah, and then I put in parentheses that I want these dopes on social media thinking I don't really know it, but of course I do. Parentheses, yeah, I know who the superior defensive player is at shortstop, but the Yankees aren't messing around with a position change midseason for Volpe, nor should they, in parentheses, right? If and when, now there's the other facet here, if and when Lombard starts to heat up at AAA, another option for the infield. So I do not think that Ryan McMahon, you can get that down there, Jay, thanks, buddy. I do not think that Ryan McMahon will be of consequence. I'm not saying he's never going to play again against the righty, but as Caballero comes back, because he's a better defender at third base than Rosario, and I still want Rosario to get some at-bats against lefties, but I could see Cabby at third. I could see Volpe at short, even though Cabby's the better defensive shortstop. Jazz at second. All right, you got to live with them, the hot streaks, the Jazz experience is what it is. But if Lombard forces his way into it, and when we had Aaron Boone on the show last week, he flat out said, oh, yeah, I could see him in the Bronx in 2026. Go, if you guys missed it, go and find it. Made a lot of waves on social media. And I believe Aaron, because he's a great defender already. Now, where would they put Lombard? I mean, he's going to be the best shortstop of the group. I firmly believe if Volpe was a better hitter, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the last couple of games, it's his foreshadow of him becoming a new hitter, a new profile, a new type of hitter. I'm hopeful that it is, but I don't necessarily believe that. The sample is too small, and the evidence is too large in the other direction his first 3 years as a Major League Baseball player. But let's just say Volpe really, with the flattening out of the swing and a tweak in the approach, becomes a 260-ish hitter, and he's on base more, and he strikes out a little less, and his walk rate goes up, and he's running wild. I mean, suddenly, you got Caballero stealing whenever he wants. You got Volpe running wild. You got Jazz hitting now and running wild. It's a little bit of a different look here. And, Caballero is going to put the bat on the ball. And then now if Lombard, see, that's where it will be interesting. Maybe at that point, just buy out because McMahon's never going to be a pinch hitter. You're not going to willingly say, hey, go hit for so-and-so. You're not going to do it because think about this. Even if Rosario starts at third and it's a lefty and then you get to the bullpen, it's a big spot, and, Dominguez is healthy or Jones stays, You'd rather have one of those lefties up against a righty rather than Ryan McMahon. So, I'm not saying it's a championship answer or a championship solution, but, Volpe playing better is obviously a good thing, and I'm excited to continue watching him play. I'm rooting for him. I don't hide that. I'm going to see a lot more of this before I say he's a different player, but it's a good start. And one more thing, right? When you are talking about pressure, it absolutely applies to Volpe. I mean, that is the essence of pressure. First round pick. I know you had some big moments, World Series Grandy, which I was there for, was awesome. Gold Glove, 20 plus home run seasons. I get it. But we all know year 4, all right, the way he played a year ago, the leash has just gotten shorter, period. The fact that the Yankees left him in the minors when his rehab stint was up told you all you needed to know. So it's year 4, first round pick, hasn't fulfilled the expectations. The guy that you brought in last year is playing much superior defense, and he's hitting a little bit as well. He's not out 2 months. He's out 10 days. And when he walked out of the clubhouse the first day, he's like, hey, that's 1 day down. I'll see you in 9 days. Without saying, that's my job. I'm coming back to take it. But he's a gamer, and you know what he meant by that. Volpe comes up based on the circumstances, right? And when if he was 1 for 19 with 11 punch outs and whatever, he's going back down to the minors. That's pressure. And you guys probably know Rami from FAN. Good guy. I don't want to steal the stuff. I actually thought it was a very smart thought that I really hadn't thought of, but it's funny because I talk about pressure a lot, but he put it out there, I guess, 2 days ago on social media. And I'm like, yep, that's an outstanding point where the inner chase, if you will, to show the Yankees, because Caballero's coming back and I'm already in the minors, you would just probably be swinging it out of your heels just to do something, because you're probably not going to earn the job back or keep the job through injury with Cabby. If you just have a couple of walks here, this is an audition, even though you've been a part of the team for a couple of years now. And when you're auditioning for something, and I've been early in my career, say if Michael K was out and I would do afternoon drive, I'm like, all right, this is here we go. Let's go. You got, I'm going to bring it anyway because that's my default, but you got to really bring it, right? That's just human nature. When there's more eyes on you and you've got to deliver to either prove that you deserve a promotion or prove to deserve that you should stay, that can mess with you. And I think Volpe's patience should really be applauded. And I've noticed that. But it was a good tweet by Rami. All right, next call. What do we got there, Jay? Who's up?
Our friend James from Hoboken.
What, James? I don't think he's checked in a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a minute, James.
It's been a minute. Were you cheating on the show? Or listening to some other shows here, James? Come on.
Hey, BP. No, not a chance, man. I love
What's
you guys.
up, buddy?
Yeah. So with the Knicks series, definitely optimistic. Feel good overall about it. There are two things that do concern me.
Go ahead.
Number one is the Cavs' size with Mobley and Allen. I think those guys can prevent matchup problems, especially with Mobley. His ability to shoot the three.
Hold on, Jay. Now, hold on. When you say present, do you mean for Cat or do you mean for the wings, specific? For whom?
I think. Well, for Cat and also for both. To be honest with you, if both those guys could be tough to deal with,
Yeah, for some reason, and I'm not saying it's not a fair point because they are long for sure. Allen to me soft. I'm not really worried. You just go right through his chest, and same with Mobley, who's a shooter. I get it. Length could be tricky, and Mobley can shoot, so it's going to stretch out the defense, which opens up drives and cuts and all that stuff from Mitchell and Harden, and Strus who could shoot and could play. It's a real thing, but I'm not as concerned as you are. But fair enough. What else?
Yeah, not only on the offensive side, though, those two guys are good defenders as well. So you got to look at it from that perspective as well.
I know. Understood.
Yeah. And secondly, it's something you touched upon, which I think is important, though. I think if we can be honest with each other, I think Kenny Atkins is a better coach than Mike Brown. I think we can all agree on that, right?
I mean, it's hard to quantify that. I think Kenny's a great coach. Although Kenny got absolutely hosed by the Nets. I think he is a basketball savant. I love him. Big fan.
Yeah. I just think there's going to be spots in the series where Atkins is going to outcoach Brown. There's definitely, I do see that happening.
Well, okay. Well, now let's examine that a little bit here, James. So to be able to outwit or out-scheme a coach and have whatever adjustments will be made throughout the series, and there'll be a lot, I'm sure, you've got to have the personnel to do it. I'm not saying they don't,
Okay.
but I think Brown's got more options, don't you? I mean, I love the Knicks bench to me is much better. You don't think so?
It's tough. I mean, I think it's close, to be honest with you. And I think when it's close like that, the coaching might, and sometimes take, be the, be the deciding factor in some ways. But,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a crazy thing. I mean, I'm just looking at the last box score. We know all the names, obviously, right? Strus is the guy that worries me. I mean, even going back to DePaul when he was playing against St. John's, DePaul was awful, but he would always have, I think he scored 41 games against St. John's. So, but you look at the last game, obviously Wade's going to get some money for sure. Some minutes, pardon me. Merrill's going to play. Yeah, I almost forgot about Schroeder. Yeah, you know what? Maybe the advantage is, and Schroeder's always a pain in the ass, no matter what team he's on. I still think the Knicks definitely have a bench advantage. Certainly not as big as the prior series or even the one before with Atlanta. I mean, the Sixers had no bench. So, yeah, okay. I mean, good points. Listen, I think Mike Brown has evolved, and I think he's learned his personnel. I think Kenny's a better coach. I would agree with that.
Mhm.
I don't think he's so much better where, he's going to run circles around Mike Brown, and it will be a detriment to the Knicks winning the series. But the bottom line is this.
Right.
We can talk about Kenny and Mike Brown. Star's got to show up and play. Brunson's got to play well. Cat's got to play well. Mitchell's got to play well. Harden's got to play well. I'll take my chances with the Knicks guys.
No doubt. And one more quick thing, something you talked about earlier. In terms of people saying, okay, this guy is the greatest, this guy's the GOAT, I think that drives me nuts as well. I mean, as someone will say, so-and-so is the GOAT. I mean, like, no, they're not. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like they just throw it out there and they don't know any.
I know.
Like, there's no meaning behind it. It's just
I know.
Kind of my pet peeve there. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And James, and thanks for the call, man. Enjoy the game. Obviously, check in tomorrow. Big Knicks Day tomorrow as well. And, I feel like we get that. Yeah, this is way too much. And separate from the actual origin of the word GOAT, we have like real like MJ, LeBron. I mean, MJ's lapping LeBron. You guys know how I feel about that. But like that's different. I see things on social media. I mean, people call me the GOAT. I'm like, what? I mean, not many, to be fair, but GOAT. I mean, GOAT of what? GOAT of what? Yes, it has been. I've been desensitized to the word or the acronym for a long time. But there's even like GOAT merchandise. My son's got a bunch of GOAT hoodies, man. Did you know that, Jay? Did you know that they have GOAT? Yeah, do you know about that? The GOAT gear?
No, is that like a brand now? Because
it is.
So when I was in high school and like I guess late-ish middle school, GOAT, and it's still a website. GOAT was an app that sold sneakers as well. And so I would like get
a secondary market.
Exactly, resale. Like I'd get all my Jordans and like stuff like that from this site GOAT.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my I guess what's the word?
Introduction.
Experience with the word.
Indoctrination.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's just dropping the goats. I mean, even the goat emojis, which we get on the show. One of the guys every single day literally pops in a goat.
Speaking of, we've got 156 viewers. We need 156 likes. Drop them right now. Drop it right now.
Attaboy. I like it. Yep. All right, let's get back to the phones. Who's up next here, J-Rod? Hook it.
Got our friend Frankie in Monroe.
Frankie, what's up there, Big Frank?
Hi, BT. What's happening? And
all good.
I am also calm right now.
Yeah.
But talk to me about 8:30.
Up.
Frankie.
Hold on. So he's
Frankie,
calm.
You cut out.
You cut out a little bit. Let's see if we can't rectify that.
Hello.
Yep. See, that's the thing. Like when you have this. So what is the mechanism here? Like when that would happen on the radio, and it would happen a lot. Like
there we go.
You got me?
We got you now. There we go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So my is the greatest. Like my daughter's 24 years old, and she's a huge Patrick Mahomes fan.
Okay.
Like all these young kids, they're they become Kansas City Chiefs fans like right away. And my response to the greatest thing is talk to me in 15 years. Let me see his numbers in 15 years, and then we'll talk about how great he is.
Well, they're going to be
Because
pretty good.
you
I
have
got
to
news,
sustain.
Frankie. Hold on, I got news for you, Frankie. You know, your daughter might wind up being right with this. I mean, the numbers. Number one, it's also much more of a passing league than some of the old timers, as we know. You know, I mean, if he wins a couple of more, it's not like it's an irresponsible point of reference to say that Mahomes has an outside shot of going down as the greatest of all time. I don't think he will, but I don't think it's reckless to say that. And I'm very protective of that.
Okay.
I don't like it. I think he's earned
All right.
that entry into the very start of the conversation.
Yes. But again, talk to me. Let me see his numbers 15 years from now, and then we'll have a conversation about
I got you.
You know what I mean?
I hear you. I get
and
it, man.
now, one more thing. We're going to change Bedner's name to Badner. We're going to say B-A-D in the beginning because they're driving me. The bullpen's driving me crazy, dude. When are we going to see LeGrand with the 103-mile-an-hour heat?
You'll see him, Frankie.
Do it now.
No, you don't do it now. You don't.
But BT, what do we do? Like Tampa Bay's not going away.
How do you know? How do you know?
And the wild card. Who knows about the wild card? I don't want to be a wild card watcher.
Frankie, wait. You're worried about the wild card in the American League, which is awful?
Dude, you never. I don't want to be a wild card watcher. That's all I'm saying.
That's a new moniker. You don't want to be a wild card watcher.
Yeah.
I mean, right now the Met fan would sign up for watching a wild card.
Exactly. But I don't think that I want to be as a Yankee fan. Let's change the bullpen now.
They're not going to do it now, Frankie.
Let's see the 103-mile-an-hour fucking guy. Like Brinley, he's only got to throw 6 pitches. Let's see them all.
I got you. All right, man. I got you, Frankie. Enjoy the game tonight.
All right, brother. Later,
thank you, man. No, thank you, dude. Frankie's great. No, I mean, throw the 103-mile-per-hour bleeping guy. That's a good way to say it. Nice and blunt. You know, the Yankees are going to do it. And, you know, listen, there's a lot of things about this team that annoys me right now. Some are going to be resolved from within because I do think Lombard's going to be here. Caballero's going to play more. Now, I'm not saying that that's a championship answer necessarily, but like the thing that frustrates me the most watching this team, well, it's the empty at bats. I mean, you got 4 or 5. And by the way, keep Wells' ass on the bench, Booney. Don't just nail him to the bench like you have, rightfully so. Come back in a couple of games, right? And if the Yanks win a couple of games, then you stay on the bench, right? But the bullpen, while that's frustrating on a night-to-night basis because it's just not good, it's going to be significantly better because LeGrand is going to be up. You just know it. And if you don't know it, you should know it. You know, we'll see where Rodriguez factors in. They've got a couple of others as well. I mean, the Yankees have a stable flamethrowing. Doesn't mean that, you know, it's going to equate to outs, but I think at LeGrand it will. But they have other guys who are throwing like 101, you know? And then obviously when Garrett Cole comes back and, you know, Max Fried, hopefully everything's fine down the road, eventually comes back, then whether it's Warren or whether somebody's going to the pen. So again, I'm not even worried about that. And the fact that the Yankees have, you know, that they're in the American League, and I know that the Rays are playing well. They scored a ton more runs last night, and they're pitching really well. I know, I get it, and they catch the ball well, and they run. They're just a better built team than the Yankees. Imagine if they had the Yankees payroll. Oh my God. Or imagine if they had somebody like Aaron Judge. I mean, wow. But like really, who are you worried about? I mean, props to the White Sox, you know, turning this thing around a little bit. They're over 500. That's a very good Major League Baseball story. The Tigers are 8 games under 500. I mean, are they going to trade Skubal? If they don't, they're idiots because he's not going to re-sign there. So you just wasted it. They should have dealt them last year. And that's actually something me and Sal were both saying on the fan, right? You know, the Twins are competitive, you know, whatever, 22 and 26. Where are they going? You know, they're going nowhere. As much as we love Witt and Salvi Perez, future Hall of Famer, Royals, non-entity. You know, I mean, the American League, I didn't even realize this till right now. I knew it wasn't good. The American League West, wow, the division leader is under 500. The Oakland, the Vegas or whatever the hell they are now, the Sacramento A's, right? The A's are 23 and 24. The division leader has a negative run differential of -4. They've lost 3 straight. They've lost 6 of 10, and they're in first place. Tells you all you need to know. I mean, Seattle's a mess. Rangers going nowhere. Astros are even worse. And the Angels will, if they're smart, they will trade Mike Trout. I mean, they're 17-31. Wild card. Stop, dude. Stop, please. I mean, I love the passion, Frankie. I really do. But, I mean, and I'm never immune to a good debate or, it's fun. But, I mean, we can't be stupid here. I'm not calling you stupid, Frank, but we can't be irresponsible. Probably is a nicer way, a better way to frame it. Let's not be dopey here. I mean, let's not start imagining things. Yes, I'm worried about the Yankees falling out of the wild card race. What? I'm never worried about that, let alone this year. One other thing, too, about the GOAT conversation, just to circle back to that for a moment. I'll get back to the chats and the calls, right? So the other aspect that is a little frustrating, and I don't really know a way around it because you don't want to ignore them. So when I was growing up, I probably said this once or twice. My dad always said, best player he's ever seen, Willie Mays, all right? So that was seared into my mind. And then, obviously the crazy catch in the 54 World Series, Vic Wertz, the Indians, right? Center field. And not only the catch, but then spinning around and making a throw. And that's when, like, center field, was like 430, 440, sometimes more in some of these big, old, cavernous stadiums. Great play. And then, of course, you see the black and white footage and then eventually color when they got to San Francisco. Willie flying around the bases and like, all right, I'm like, man, if this guy's good enough for my dad, who I respect nobody's baseball knowledge more than his. That's just the way it is. He's great, and basketball too. Football, not as much. Baseball and basketball. And if he's telling me that since I was 3, 4, 5 years old, I'm going to believe him. Now, obviously, you got to give Babe Ruth some love, and there's other players. Hank Aaron, who is criminally underrated. As amazing as that is, like, if you hey, who's the greatest baseball player of all time, you will get a cross section of Willie Mays. You get Babe Ruth. You'll get some will say Bonds. You might get a Ty Cobbs. But it's almost like you just don't get enough Hank Aaron responses, which is, again, criminally unfair and really patently offensive if you look at his numbers. But the point is, pertaining to the GOAT conversation, as the older generation, stops calling radio shows and stops watching certain shows and then eventually just, not to be morbid here, but given the circle of life, eventually leaves us, right? And then continues that conversation in a better place, which I believe, nobody's around after a point to carry the mantle for those players that many of us didn't see. So not only is it sometimes and too often a waste of time, the GOAT stuff, but like when I jump into that stuff, sometimes I'm talking about guys I never even saw play. So how accurate is that? And much like baseball and the other Hall of Fames, but certainly baseball, as the older sports writers, retire and whatever, you got a lot of younger people carrying the mail for people that they just didn't see. And it's really statistically based, and I know this is probably the easiest one in New York, right? But, if you didn't see Don Mattingly play and if you didn't see Keith Hernandez play, and I do believe that, man, it's not a Yankee Met thing. Take it if you're probably going to make it into that. I can promise you the subjectivity, anytime I talk baseball, is at the door. Like, this is objective analysis. Mattingly was better, period. At his apex, he was a better player than Keith Hernandez. Now, Keith was a better fielder. Keith was the best defensive first baseman of all time. Nobody spun the bunt like he did. I mean, he would be 5 feet away from the batter. He was just incredible. And he was just a better fielder. And Donnie was great. Keith was better. But Mattingly, for those 5 or 6 years, was one of the most feared hitters ever. He was Stan Musial. Hernandez was never that guy. He was like 17 home runs, 18 home runs, clutch, higher average, good contact, tremendous player. And I do think that Keith should be in the Hall of Fame, along with Mattingly. I'm just getting a little separation between the two. But those who didn't see Mattingly, and they just look at the numbers, oh, wow, we won the MVP in 85. Oh, man, yeah, okay. I finished second in 86. Well, number one, he should have won it because they gave it to Roger Clemens, a pitcher, and Donnie should have been back-to-back. And if he was back-to-back, maybe it changes his trajectory with the Hall of Fame, although it didn't for Dale Murphy, who also won back-to-back. Point is, now the evaluation is just really just laced with numbers. And the people who are, and I don't mean the Veterans Committee, but the people who kind of reshape the narratives of conversations like this, right? they didn't see these players play. So, you get a 25-year-old baseball fan, like, J-Rod's almost a couple of years, almost 25. He fits into this wheelhouse here. He can hear me say how great Mattingly was. Never saw him. It's not his fault. He's younger. Just see some highlights, some grainy footage, but he didn't live through it when you knew undeniably that Mattingly was the best player in baseball. But that gets diluted over time. And it's just, 288 as a first baseman, not a lot of pop after his back went out, blah, blah, blah. And then that energy just begins to slowly dissipate. And it's up to the unks, the OGs like me to kind of carry it. And after a while, the young fans like, whatever, old man. I don't agree with your assessment. Hey, I do the same thing with Kareem. I mean, the Kareem that I saw was like an aging, I've never been a Kareem fan. Incredible respect for Kareem. And I've interviewed him a couple of times. And along with like Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, obviously Lou Alcindor, Kareem, one of the most influential, Jackie Robinson, of course, black athletes of all time. I mean, they basically had a coalition. I don't know what year it was started, but for rights and so obviously it's in the late 60s because you talk about riots and civil rights and stuff like that. The riots in Detroit, Newark, not to go through a history lesson, but it was around then when the real prominent, black athletes came together, and Muhammad was there and Alcindor. But I just say that just to show respect. But Alcindor, the Kareem that I saw, I'm like, this guy is a cornball, man. Who the hell's going to the park emulating Kareem dropping a skyhook? We're reverse layups and we're trying to dunk on the lower rims like Dominique and Jordan. So I saw old Kareem, kind of laboring up and down the court and the corny sneakers and didn't look great in the uniform and the goofy goggles. But I always say that, MJ won, Kareem too. And I didn't see him play until the end. And then obviously I remember when his retirement tour, when the Knicks gave him a rocking chair, they did the same thing for Dr. J. They did the retirement tour. And to me, I am leaning on, the 6 MVPs. And now there's a lot to lean on, fair. The 6 MVPs, the most points until that was finally broken, had that record for 30-something years. The 6 championships, the most indefensible shot in the history of basketball, to the point where his band in college couldn't dunk. And, and then obviously the skyhook is what I'm referencing. So, I do it as well, but I just do it because I love the history and I want to make sure that the pioneers of the game aren't forgotten, but like when we get into this GOAT stuff, a lot of it is kind of hollow because many of the things that we weave into the conversation, a Willie Mays, a Kareem, a Bob Gibson, if you want to throw, or even Seaver. I didn't see Seaver in his prime, but I say a lot that I think Seaver, along with Pedro and maybe Maddox, the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. But I didn't see him play. See the highlights of the 68 World Series. What is this from our guy Avery Summit? BT will hate this, but thinking he's the savior and the final piece to a chip. Oh, no, dude. Does LeBron go to the loser of the Cavs-Knicks series back home or to the Mecca to win one last one? Here's what I'm going to do, because I'm just not going to expend any energy on this because I've done it a million times here, Avery. No disrespect to Avery. J-Rod, would you please parachute in here for a moment, my friend? Would you tell everybody in the Unleashed community and the Unleashed family how much I do not want LeBron on the Knicks?
He does not want LeBron James on the New York Knicks. He does not want the glory hound that is LeBron James. I loved that one in that clip. The glory hound was hilarious.
Yeah, I'll take it a step further. I'll make sure I don't lose this point. I've even said, and some people think I'm nuts, I mean this, I would now dignity. I'm not saying that LeBron's undignified. I don't mean that. But in the conversation of sport, I would much rather maintain my sporting Knick basketball dignity and lose and be championship-less than have LeBron parachute. Let's say the Knicks lose to the Cavs or the Thunder or the Spurs, and then LeBron comes here for 1 year and the Knicks win, and I am forever beholden to LeBron James. And the reason I don't want that is you didn't want us when we sucked, and I don't want you now. That's it. Some people think it's personal. It's not. Now, I do like enough with the powder, and I don't think I know he's a coach killer for some. I don't think he's as great a teammate as some of you think. Like the manipulation behind the scenes, if you really know what's been going on for years, is undeniable. Great player, all-timer, behind MJ and behind Kareem, and maybe even behind Magic and Bird, but whatever. Even though that is to the chagrin of some of the young bucks like J-Rod here. I don't want him on the Knicks. Not interested. 0.00% not interested.
I definitely see, I mean, to his point, I definitely see the Cavs as a very likely destination for next season, especially now that they kind of came out with the reports that he would be willing to take that mid-level exception money. I think the Cavs is and especially if they lose this series, the Cavs are a strong choice because it's a good look for him. He's coming back to save Cleveland after they fall to the mighty Knicks. Like it would be a great look for him, and it'd be a really damn good team.
Yeah, no, it would be. No, I'm not saying LeBron would help. I know he would help the Knicks. And he would fit in and he would acquiesce and he would take a secondary role. I know all that. It's not a basketball thing, kind of like squeezing him in where I'm like, nah, it wouldn't be. It would be a great basketball fit because, he knows the game, but he plays hard and he can play a lot of positions. I'm not talking about that. It's the other stuff. And I don't know the answer to this, and maybe this is me being a little unfair to LeBron. I would almost guarantee that he does not want the Cavs to win a championship. Because if the Cavaliers win the championship,
dude,
they don't need him.
He loses a lot of his Cleveland. Not a lot. Obviously, he's still a guy who kind of put them on the map in terms of popularity. But
not kind of. I mean, absolutely.
He is.
Not kind of.
But
fair.
But man, like seeing like also that Donovan Mitchell 45 jersey up in the rafters one day with the championship and stuff, like that would certainly be a meaningful title as well. No doubt about it.
It would be. Cleveland, this is for you.
If Donovan Mitchell did that, that'd be so sick.
It's funny, like people think I hate LeBron. I don't. But I would actually love to see him go back home. And I've said that because every time I say I don't want him on the Knicks, I always kind of, back-end it with, I think it would be a great story. And I do love stories. I do love homecomings. I do love, to me, am I going to be, now listen, if the Cavs win the championship and they're playing, I don't know, the Spurs on opening night, and it's one of the two games, like, one of the focal, not on TNT anymore, but like one of the focal national games, yeah, maybe I'll pop in to see him get the rings, whatever. Like, I love that pomp and circumstance. But I can promise you, if they don't win, or like LeBron being introduced as a Cavalier again for the first time at home, if he goes back for 2.0, I'd be all over that. Like, I would think I love the sentimentality. I do enjoy that. I appreciate that. I just don't want him. I don't want him at the Garden.
Nah,
I don't want him. I think most Knick fans are with me on that too.
I think it's a decent split. I think the young Knick fans are totally opposite. I think a lot of the young Knick fans would love LeBron on the team just for the image. There's something about LeBron in his career, though. He doesn't hit me as a guy who's going to play for the New York Knicks or go to the Knicks. I don't know. He doesn't hit me as an East Coaster. There's something about LeBron's energy that's never hit me as like a Northeast guy.
Interesting.
Certainly not Boston.
No.
Maybe he could hit me as a Brooklyn Net kind of guy, like at a certain point in his career.
Yes,
he definitely with Jay-Z, but he's not a Knick. I don't know. He's not a Knick. He's a Brooklyn Net. He's like a Jay-Z courtside, popular, cameras flashing, but not the Mecca guy for some. I don't know. There's just something. There's something about him that doesn't hit me as someone in the Garden.
Why is my guy Stephen A. catching strays here? What is this? Why is that?
Rod Power always takes a shot at Stephen.
Why? Stephen A's my guy. Come on now. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I mean, Stephen A. sucking the energy and the oxygen out of the room. I mean, it's kind of his job, and that's why he's the man. He's better at his job than anybody because nobody elicits the kind of reaction that Stephen A. does. I mean, so, it's one thing if you're sucking the oxygen out of a locker room or a team, with a team concept. Stephen A. is I know he's part of a TV team. I get it, but, or at least, what's the word? What the hell's the word?
I was going to say like a syndicate. That's not really the term,
no, whatever the word is, whatever. But he's up there doing his own thing. I mean, he's got people on the set with him, but make no mistake about it, it's Stephen A's show. And along with McAfee, it's Stephen A's network. So, I mean, not that I really need to defend Steve. I will if I have to, but no, sucking the oxygen out of the room, that's what he's kind of what he's got to do. No KD, no LeBron, absolutely not. BT always says he doesn't hate Jazz and LeBron, but then he goes on and on about how much he hates them. Well, I mean, I don't know. By the way, look at this guy's picture, man. That is just one freaked out looking picture. I've said that before. That is frightening. I don't think that's fair either. I never say that I hate LeBron. I don't hate him, and I don't hate Jazz. And there are also two very different levels of analysis. Very. I mean, good God. I mean, listen, I know that as the years have gone on, and I don't blame him, LeBron, to be able to be at peak performance, has, kind of throttled it back a little bit, regular season, playing defense, kind of coasting, and the data in terms of how much he moves and, top speed, like he's also 40 years old. I mean, geez, that is all a part of the deal where it takes some plays off and he kind of conserves energy, which I think that you probably want him to do if he's on your team because it's a long, grueling haul. But that is very uniquely different from how I perceive Jazz, whose head is in space. And LeBron's IQ is through the roof, and Jazz sometimes has the IQ of a rock, on the baseball field. It's not no. So that I know you're kidding, and it's not hate. It's just analysis. I don't really hate anybody. Like the only people that I truly have, and even hatred is strong, but would be like real hard, despicable, unforgivable criminals in the certain sense of certain types of crimes. I don't hate athletes. Oh, by the way, speaking of Stephen A., how about that beef with Jaylen Brown? That's getting hot, huh?
Dude.
Jay, you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I was because here's something I was like thinking you could do, man. This is bad. This is bad.
Oh boy.
But if you like really kind of like an extension of what just happened, like if you really went hard on like defending Stephen A route against Jaylen Brown, like, man, you could like that could probably get you on First Take pretty quick.
Yeah, I hear you. I would probably get a lot of clicks, but truth of the matter is, I don't know. I know Big Perk kind of waited on this as well. Kendrick Perkins.
Dude, I didn't like what he said. Really, I wasn't a big fan of pulling out like the old Celtics players receipts about JB and kind of lambasting him like that, because I don't know, when you do that, now you're kind of creeping into like a weird inter-organizational, like personal beef that Kendrick Perkins probably had with Jaylen Brown beforehand, considering Kendrick Perkins has been on the outs of the Celtics organization ever since he signed up with ESPN. Like, he has been looked at sideways by that 08 team.
Why? But why?
Because he so frequently goes after Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. He's one of the guys who says split them up. He's kind of shifted on that position. One day he's keep them together. One day he's not. And I love Perk. I love Big Perk. I think he's hilarious. I think he's hilarious. But I do think a lot of the members of the Celtics organization, while he says they're looking at Jaylen Brown sideways, I also think a lot of members of this current roster and previous roster don't take a lot of what he says with a grain of salt as well.
All right. ESPN peaked in the 90s. I mean, how much you watch ESPN? Honestly.
Dude, I mean, currently not as much as I once did. I checked into the, First Take with Skip a couple weeks ago. I still check into Sports Center, Scott Van Pelt. Here
I like
there.
Scotty.
But my peak was definitely that 2015 to 2019 Max Kellerman era of ESPN. Okay. And then still in college when JJ Redick was on it, I was still a pretty big fan. He was annoying. JJ
Redick.
He was annoying.
Smart,
he was
good,
super annoying,
polarizing, annoying.
Yes, he really exactly. Was. He played a very poking the bear kind of role, and he was different than the other guys on that show because he didn't really fall victim to the hot take mentality. He still came through with something that was scalding and something that would jar you, but it was less of like the hot takes, and it was more of like, Steven, this is why you're wrong. Like,
yeah. No, JJ's got balls, man. I mean, absolutely. Like JJ would stand up. You know, he was good. I'm not saying he wasn't good, and he's done a good job coaching as well. It's funny. I remember speaking of JJ Redick, the first time. Was it the first time? Wait. So what year was Redick drafted again? Do you remember that?
It must have been. I would guess 09 would be my guess. It might have been a little before that.
Can you double check?
Yeah. JJ Redick.
I want to see if it was not that it really matters for the story. It's a short one.
06.
I thought.
Wow.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So the first year I started doing St. John's was 2003, 2004. Mike Jarvis was the head coach of St. John's.
Okay.
And Mike got fired about 8 or 9 games into the season, and it went off the rails. And then there was this big situation in Pittsburgh. It was a mess, right? And then St. John's lost their way, and here we are with Rick, and they're good again, they're really good again, which is great. But I guess it was right after this game, actually, we went to Duke, and I flew out with the team, and I'm just part of the broadcast team, just starting out. And I remember we went to a nice steakhouse with the team, nice fun, and then we got just destroyed. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up that score just out of curiosity, right? And one thing that I remember about JJ Redick was, let me see if I can find this real quick. So, and St. John's was really bad that year. And they
70, is it 70 to 57?
I feel like it was worse than that, man.
Was it during the 05-06 or 06-07?
No, I think it was 03-04 is what I'm saying.
03-04. Oh,
yeah, hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. 06. Come on, go back that far. Come on. Yep, I got it.
79-58.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now we're in the territory. Oh, okay, here it is. Yeah, I'm looking at this. This is the first year I ever did St. John. Just listen to this real quick. Loss, win. Loss, win. Loss, win, win. Loss, win. Loss, win. Loss. That was this first season, right? So, and Duke was, let's see, 1, 2, 3. That was game number 5. The only win they had at that point was they beat Stony Brook. St. John's lost to Fairfield that year. And I love great school. Really good school. I love the Stags. They're in my conference, the MAC. I've got respect for them, but I mean, St. John's can't be losing to Fairfield ever. No Big East team should. Anyway, they go to Duke and they get 79-58. And do they still have the box score from that game? They should. No, they don't. Either way, I remember, walking around and Dickie V was doing the game. And usually at these games, especially back then, like the broadcast team would sit courtside, right? Mm-hmm. But Duke is unique in the sense they've got this, it's almost like you have to climb this ladder and get to this little teeny tiny old school uncomfortable broadcast area. So it's myself and Mike Crispino. It was before Mink. We're doing the game up there. We got, lunatic Dickie V, serendipity, baby, like right next to us, right?
Holy.
That was awesome. It was awesome. And I remember as I'm walking around doing, getting pictures and stuff, I guess JJ may have been a freshman. And he had this pre-shooting routine where he would you had to see it. It's just not going to sound the same. But I was just like, holy shit, this guy didn't miss a shot. He literally would go from the corner, like to the wing, to the head of the circle, to the wing, to back to the corner. And and I guess it was a pregame tradition. He would not stop until he hit 10 shots in a row at every behind the stripe at each spot. Dude, I saw him hit 53s in a row. He didn't miss one. He was such a great shooter. Anyway, that was a little JJ Redick. They got rolled.
That's sick.
79. What was the score at halftime? 79-58. Not bad. 39-28. And we're hanging around. All right, what else we got here? By the way, later on today, so you know that Brett Boone, right? Brett Boone.
Come on, now I set it up.
Well, I know I'm asking rhetorically there, buddy.
Sorry.
This guy. It's all good, Jay. It's all good. So Brett Boone, who is Aaron's brother, right? He's got a podcast, and me and Sal had him on the show a couple times over at the Fan. Really,
wait, you had Brett on your show?
Yeah.
No way. Let's go, dude.
Because he was part of the Odyssey family. So we would get him on.
Oh, yeah.
And we would get Aaron on as well, but we would get Brett on to talk more like, other baseball stuff and maybe
dude.
Because we knew that Aaron wasn't going to rip like some of his players, but we thought maybe Brett could get, he'd be like, Brett would rip some of Aaron's players and he'd be a little bit more not transparent, but a little bit more raw than obviously the manager could be. You just can't shit on your players, even if you want to. Anyway, so Brett was great. He sent me a text the other day. Hey, you want to come on the show? Because it was all part of the Odyssey company back then.
Yeah.
The fan, the podcast, all that stuff.
All that, yeah.
So I'm going on today, and I don't know what I'm sure it's a lot of baseball. I don't know if it's just Yankees, but the Brett Boone podcast. Am I gonna have a good time with him or what?
Dude, I mean, fun? I hope so. You'll probably get into everything. Like you'll just kind of like it's like you say, like it's very conversational. His show, like you're kind of just talking with the dude. But I mean, he was the first guy I ever produced a podcast for, so I'm always forever indebted to him for that, man.
Now what happened? Why did you move on? Did he get rid of you?
Dude, no, honestly, Odyssey just like shifts, like because I'm still like a part-time producer with them. They just shift a lot of the roles around a lot. So I've been his producer on 2 separate occasions for 2 like months-long stints, and then they'll move me. Sometimes I'll be back, sometimes I won't. Because I'm like, are they gonna have me produce this one? I guess not. I guess you'll be dealing with someone else.
Yeah.
But man, like the funny thing about Brett Boone, dude, out of anyone I've ever worked with, and this is why I love this dude. He's the only guy I've ever worked for who will call me at like 1 a.m, 2 a.m. type deal and be like, yo, Jay, like you send that? Like, did you send that? Did you upload it?
Are you serious?
Dude, when I was working for this guy, he would be called because he's a West Coaster. So he would be calling me in the dead of the night to do something. And I'd just be like, all right, bro, I got you.
Yeah, listen, you better say that. You're trying to cut some teeth here. I don't do that to you.
No,
you got it easy with me.
That's why I find it so funny. Was just like it would be 1:30 and he'd be like, yo, Jay, remember that. Yo, get that up. I
got to start cracking the whip. I mean, I'm running too loose of a ship around here with J-Rod. I gotta take a page from Brett Boone. I have to.
Big time.
I mean, you shouldn't have told me that because now I know that you can handle it.
Exactly. So, oops.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. He's very different. I mean, listen,
he's very different from Aaron.
Yes,
he is super different.
He's different.
He's got more of a Texas Southern thing to him.
He's also
not just from his time with the Rangers. But.
He's also quicker to drop the F-bombs. Like he wound up calling me the other day. I mean, listen, I've hung out with Aaron enough to like, he's a dude's dude. He is, but. I think Brett is a little more raw. You know what I mean?
He's like on his show, he doesn't really curse too much.
Okay.
But like when he has spoken to me, dude, this guy is straight up.
Oh, yeah. What else?
I can't wait to watch that.
I gotta bust out of here. I gotta bust out of here today early. I gotta bust out a little bit early. I want to start wrapping things up. Tomorrow is going to be an absolute massive day. Like I literally, listen, Jay, outside of doing the show and even really, more than doing the show, but what is my favorite thing to do in life? You can't wait. You can't get this answer wrong. Think before you answer.
Coach U Sports.
Thank you. And now I would extend that to coach or watch my kids play.
Yes.
And all their friends too. Right. So tonight, like, I am not even, my son's got a basketball game tonight. Not even going. I mean, I'm going to be locked in literally every single possession tonight. It is officially go time. I cannot wait for this series to start. I'm very confident. I think the Knicks will cover tonight. I think the Knicks will win in 5 or 6. If they win tonight, I'd say 5. If they lose tonight, I'd say 6. And then it's, the next thing, which we know what that would be if we get there. But, it's got to happen now. And if you just tuned into the show, the reasons are obvious. I'm not going to reset them now because I do have to bounce. But make sure you check out the show. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe it. Get it out there. I am working on a couple of guests for this week. Alex Rodriguez could be one of them. So, not locked in. He's out in Minnesota still. You see the video of Alex shooting hoops yesterday? You see?
I don't think so. No, wait, I gotta see it.
Yeah.
Was
He
it
said-
at like the T-Wolves
No,
facility?
it was at his beautiful home in Minnesota.
Oh,
if you
nice.
watch the Alex versus the A-Rod versus Alex documentary, because now as one of the owners for the T-Wolves, he's got a beautiful spread out there. He spends a lot of time. Yeah,
In
he's got homes
Minnesota.
everywhere because he's
Yeah.
Alex. He's got that kind of money, but he's got a beautiful piece of property in Minnesota, and he's got a gorgeous basketball court outside with the
nice.
T-Wolves logo on the floor.
Oh, that's sick.
Dude, it's dope. And he was out there yesterday, with his shirt off, shooting. He's like, I'm like, you didn't learn your lesson by running
the
around
Central Park
shirtless in Central Park, dude. But I tell you, he got himself in good shape. There was a point, not that I want to talk here, like I'm not Adonis here, but a point, Alex, got a little not heavy. That's not the right word at all, but wasn't as yoked as he used to be.
Mhm.
And yesterday he put on Instagram, he's like, I can't eat lunch until I make some shots. And he's out there shooting, shirt off, sweating. You got a pretty good jump shot. Like, that's the crazy thing about all these dudes. If you did like a deep dive, like you talk about like how and so many of these players, like we ridicule or we question, and that's just it is what it is. But how great they are at everything. Take Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge averaged like 16, 17 points and 8-9 rebounds in high school, not to mention, of course, being the best baseball player. Oh, yeah. He was a tight end. He had like 9 touchdowns, 80 receptions. Like, this is what these dudes do.
Yeah.
LeBron was a great football player. I don't know if you knew that.
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony G. Yeah,
Dude,
Tony
have you ever
G.
seen him? He played for the Miami Heat Summer League squad.
I told you that. I was out there.
Oh my
covering
God.
that.
Oh my
Look
God.
at this
Oh my
guy.
God,
He's trying to
bro.
steal my stuff now. At least I know you listen, even if you don't give proper attribution. Alvin Iverson was one of the best quarterbacks to ever come out of Virginia.
Really?
Oh God, AI. Like
Dude, that's sick. Joe Girard, too. I don't know if you remember him.
the shooter
He's
from Syracuse. Sure.
From Syracuse. He's like he has like a couple New York football records for Glens Falls as well.
Oh, does it? That's good.
Yeah.
That's good up there. Yeah. I mean, but where AI was playing it, like in the Hampton, like in that area in Virginia, like that is
The real deal.
top notch, man. Football, basketball, top notch. The amount of players that they pumped out is crazy. Yeah, I don't know, because Allen, was smaller, but man, if AI was coming up now, and I've seen crazy footage of him from high school football, and dudes who played against him who went on to play in the NFL, who are like, this guy could have been an NFL quarterback. And, at that point, like the black quarterback, the doors were opening finally for the black quarterback, but you had to still have a certain type of profile. Like if he was coming out now, I don't know if he's going to play basketball at Georgetown. Who knows
He
what
could be
he's
like
doing.
a Jalen Hurts type guy.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, he's probably getting 10, 12, 15 million dollars in NIL money. Now, he probably would have got the same in hoops, but to go be a quarterback at Ohio State or at, Baylor or, you name the school, Michigan, whatever it might be, LSU, just asking for and getting whatever he would have commanded. You got to see his football.
All right,
tape.
I'm checking that out after this.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, I got to bounce. I got to roll up shop here. J-Rod, great job today, man. Everybody, I appreciate you guys listening. Check out the Brett Boone podcast. I'm jumping on with Brett later on today. That's at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. If you want to watch it live on YouTube, check it out. As for this show, like it, subscribe it, get it out there. If you missed Dave Rothenberg, I know a lot of you guys enjoyed that yesterday. Really getting to know Dave, a deep dive in his career and working with Rick and their relationship and his fandom and how he hasn't changed a lick. And I believe him, how he balances all that stuff. Got into his son who's playing collegiate baseball, which is a great thing. Just wrapping up his first year. I know you guys really enjoyed so did I. Like I really enjoyed getting to know Dave a little bit. So that is up there. And I'll let you know hopefully later today what guests we're going to lock in this week, if any. Shooting for a couple of the big ones. I said maybe Alex, but I can't confirm that yet. So have a great rest of your day. Enjoy it. Go Knicks. Win or lose. Back tomorrow. A lot of baseball as well. And I will catch you tomorrow at 10. Peace.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney.